Hello, this is Dr. Neil Barnard. The outcome objectives for today are, at the end of this activity, the learner should be able to explore why whole food plant-based diets have achieved a high level of acceptability among research participants. We'll discuss how physicians, dietitians, and nutrition instructors can work as a team. We'll describe how to conduct a nutrition support group. We'll explain the two-step method for adopting a healthful diet, and we'll describe how hospitalization can be used for nutrition teaching. First of all, the acceptability of plant-based diets has been carefully studied, and theoretically, they ought to achieve a high level of acceptability. First of all, unlike typical diets where you're trying to cut calories, trying to just starve off the weight, that's challenging for many patients who by about Wednesday are ready to eat the sofa. With a plant-based diet, there is no artificial calorie limit. We don't use portion sizes. We don't use carbohydrate counting typically. And because plant-based diets have such benefits for weight, for cholesterol, for blood sugar, these benefits encourage people to want to stick with it. They encourage continued adherence. And this has been studied in several different populations. In studies of men and women with heart disease, in young women with dysmenorrhea, I'm talking about women with menstrual cramps brought into a research study using a plant-based diet, in postmenopausal overweight women, or in men and women with diabetes. In all of these cases, the acceptability of plant-based diets has been shown to be similar to that of other therapeutic diets. So the idea that patients aren't going to want to go to a plant-based diet really is not true. They go to them eagerly. So let's make it easy. And this has been studied in several different populations. In studies of men and women with heart disease, so let's make it easy. In our clinic, here at the Barnard Medical Center, we have doctors and nurse practitioners, and I always say that you need to talk to your patient about diet for at least 3 minutes. Now that sounds crazy, doesn't it? You obviously need much more than that. But in 3 minutes' time, I can talk to the patient with diabetes about how foods they've been eating have packed fat into their muscle cells and liver cells, and that's stopping insulin from working. Now, of course, we're going to want to talk about many other things, but in about 3 minutes' time, I can say what has to be said, and I'm validating the importance of nutrition. And then our team has registered dietitians, and they have plenty of time to sit down with the patient, and sometimes with the patient's reluctant spouse, and they can work together to map out menus and select recipes and think about practical issues that might come up. And then we have classes. We have class series that are set up on an ongoing basis. And if you're not doing these in your own center, I would encourage you to give them a try. If your clinic closes down at 5 o'clock, then why not at that point put the chairs in the waiting room into a circle, invite the patients to come in, and in an hour's time you can speak to 15 or 20 people, whatever the case may be, and it will just change their life. This team approach really allows doctors to feel like they don't have to be the Lone Ranger anymore doing all the teaching all by themselves. They've got a whole team that backs them up. The registered dietitians do a lot of the detailed work, and the classes provide more information, good Q&A opportunity, and lots of continued support. Let me talk you through how we do our nutrition support groups here. So here's the way we structure our sessions. At the top of the hour, the patients are coming in. As they come in, they step on the scale. Now, this is if weight loss is a goal. First of all, you can just use your waiting room if you like, put the chairs in a circle. But I have to say, if you have a special room that has sort of a boardroom configuration, I'd like to have a table in the middle because we're forever sending around samples of various foods or food packages or menus to allow patients to do a little bit of role modeling and testing out various things and trying different samples. Ideally, I like to have about 15 to 20 participants. You can do it with fewer, but people sort of feel like they're under the microscope if it's very few people. You can do it with more, but I really like to give everybody a chance to talk in each meeting. And if it's more than about 20, it can be a challenge to finish in an hour. So here's the way we structure our sessions. At the top of the hour, the patients are coming in. As they come in, they step on the scale. Now, this is if weight loss is a goal for them. And they stand on a digital scale. We write down the number. We do it privately, but I always let our participants know that if they're not losing weight, maybe from 1 week to the next, Well, for 1 week, we can overlook it, but if it's 2 weeks, then the diet is not working if they're not losing any weight at all. That means that we've got to look at what they're eating and see how things are going. If you don't weigh your patients every week, you're not going to know. So we do a quick weigh-in, and then everyone's sitting around the table, and we go around, and each person talks about successes and challenges. So I'll ask the first person, tell me about what went well this week, and what challenges are coming up. And they'll say something like, I lost 2 pounds this week, but I've got to go to a wedding next week, and I'm not sure what to do. Don't answer it. Just be silent and let other group members come in. Somebody will say, funny you'd say that. I went to a wedding last week, and you know what I did? And they'll get a whole dialogue going about how you can deal with various challenges. Then the next person will speak up. What are their successes and their challenges? Well, my success is I found a new website with lots of recipes that are fantastic, but my challenge is my spouse won't follow me on this diet. Don't answer it. Your job is to be a leader and not the answer man. So just be quiet and let the other members jump in. I've got that problem too. They'll say, I don't know what to do. And other people will say, well, why don't you get a copy of, a video like What the Health or Forks Over Knives or something? Let's watch that together. Or they start problem solving, trying to think of ways to make this work together. And the reason I encourage you not to answer every single question yourself, but let the group get involved, is what you want to do is to build, by about week 2 or week 3 or week 4, build a real group sense that they are in this together and they're going to keep each other on the straight and narrow. They're going to encourage each other, but they'll also hold each other to accountability. And if you answer every single question yourself and they're only looking at you, you're not getting that group thing going. Okay, so this is going to bring us to about the bottom of the hour. We're about 30 minutes in. Now we start a presentation. And the presentation can be on anything, how foods affect cholesterol or how foods might affect autoimmune conditions, or maybe it'll be a cooking demonstration, whatever it is. This is partly education, and frankly, it's partly entertainment because the patients come and they hopefully enjoy the presentations. Then give them an assignment. We're going to look ahead at what we're going to do next week. Nothing hard because you don't want anyone to fail. And then everyone is gone in an hour. Now, people will want to linger. They love the group. This has been a life-changing experience for them. This is your time. Blow the whistle. Everybody out of the pool. They've got to go home. And the reason for that is you want the whole class to be very concise so that no member feels like it's really interfering too much with their life. It's got to be simple, and you want your staff to go home too. What I find is that if this drags on to be 90 minutes or 2 hours and whatever, then your staff starts to get weary and whatever. These class programs can be simple, very, very efficient. You can treat a lot of people in a very short time frame, and in 60 minutes, they're gone. Now, in the group, we talk about how to start a healthful diet. So week 1, everyone's nervous, thinking, gee, I'm going to make a diet change. How do I do it? Well, you can reassure them. For the first week, we're not going to take anything out of our diet at all. Go ahead and eat your regular foods, but what I want you to do for the next 7 days is check out the possibilities. What I mean is, what foods could you eat that don't have animal products in them at all and that are low in fat? They're going to have to think about that. Give them a piece of paper. The piece of paper should have breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack written on it, and say, I want you to bring this paper back next week, and I want you to have filled in items that are free of animal products, low in fat, that you actually would like to eat. So now's your chance to try them. Give them some suggestions. Okay. Haven't made oatmeal since I was a kid, but I guess I'll try it. And if I flavor it up with cinnamon and raisins, maybe it'll be good. You know, I've never tried almond milk, but friends at the office are always using it. Maybe this is my chance to try it. So our goal for the first 7 days is just to try things that you might want to eat. So think about breakfasts. Think about lunches. I never tried the veggie burger at the restaurant down the block. Or I never tried the chili without meat in it. Could I try it? Absolutely. I never made a pizza without cheese. Our job for 7 days is to try these things. Then you might go to an Italian restaurant that you like and see what they'll serve you. Angel hair pasta with a nice spicy arrabbiata sauce or pasta e fagioli. A Mexican restaurant, I could maybe have the veggie fajitas, beans and rice, veggie tacos. Chinese rice, vegetable, tofu dishes, lots of choices. Japanese, extra points because they have often plant-based items that are naturally very, very low in oil. Yep, you can have sushi. It's not the fish sushi, it's the cucumber sushi or the asparagus sushi or whatever the case may be. And fast food chains, if that's where your patients eat, it may not be the pinnacle of culinary art, but that's where they are. So they're having a submarine sandwich? Sure. Lettuce and tomatoes and olives and onions and cucumbers and drizzle it with a little red wine vinegar, whatever the case may be, they'll toast it for you. And if your patient is going to the taco restaurant, now they're going to have the bean burrito and they'll hold the cheese and now it's totally plant-based. Okay, the 7 days are up. They come back and they've got their list. They say, I know what I could eat. Now is the time to do it. Step 2 is a 3-week test drive. During this 3 weeks, they will eat only plant-based foods, no animal products at all, but it's only for 3 weeks, so it's doable. And you already picked out all the foods that you like. So it's really easy. At the end of 3 weeks, 2 things will have happened. The first is your patients are healthier. Their blood sugars are down. They're losing weight. Their digestion is better. They're feeling better. But the second thing is their tastes are changing too, and they didn't expect that. They're discovering they like this lighter taste. And the taste of meat and cheese, that's just not calling out to them so much. So that's why we do it strictly for 3 weeks. I don't tell our patients, just do it 80% plant-based. I want them to have 3 weeks free of all those foods to allow their tastes to drift a little bit. Now, what about adherence? Patients, first of all, are going to be skeptical. That's okay. They're right to be skeptical because there's a lot of nutritional nonsense out there. They see it in books, they see it on TV and so forth. Don't confront it. What we need to do instead is to give our patients good information and allow them to see for themselves how it works. Now, what about recidivism? You've had a patient who's done terrific, but after 6 weeks or 8 weeks, they goof up. They went out with some friends to a steakhouse and they were planning to get the vegetable dishes, but there weren't any there at all, and they gave in and they had a steak. What do? This is not the time to wag your finger at this individual. Instead, you just say, okay, however we got here, what the heck? Let's dust ourselves off. Let's get back on. The worst thing you can do is to let one goof lead you to goof up more and more and more. We're not going to do that. Just going to dust ourselves off, get back on the wagon. Now, sometimes people use the word compliance. I don't use that. I like the word adherence. Here's what I mean. You can adhere to a healthy diet. Compliance means you're doing what I say. You're complying to my will. You don't want that. What you want to do is think of yourself as a coach. The patient is not your employee. They don't work for you. They don't need to comply with what you say. They've got to adhere to the healthy regimen that you're giving them. So think of yourself as a coach. You believe in every single patient. I don't care whether they've done great or not done so great. You're a coach who believes in every single person. If that positive regard always comes through, and you are never demanding, you are never argumentative, you're going to discover that your patients will respond by really wanting to do their very best. And they in turn will have that same attitude with other people in their lives. If your patient is hospitalized, hospitalization should be used as a teachable moment. It's a time when we feel vulnerable, when we are open to new information, we're open to a change in life. Hospitalization is often a time when people quit smoking. And why is that? Well, it's because you can't smoke in a hospital. Back in the 1980s, you could, but it has been banned from virtually every hospital everywhere. And so it's a chance for people to say, all right, if I'm going to be in the hospital for the next week, I guess I'm going to be able to break this habit. Well, we should do the same thing with food. When a patient is in the hospital, this is the perfect time to talk with them. And you can say, your hip fracture, it's going to keep you here for a couple days. And the hip problem isn't going to kill you, but what could affect your life over the long run, could even take your life, is unhealthy foods. So while you're here in the hospital, I'm going to ask you to follow a totally healthy diet. Are you with me? The patient will look at you and say, okay, they might bite their lip a little bit, but they're going to say, yes, I'm willing to try a healthier diet. At that point, you write your diet order, which is a totally whole foods plant-based diet. Then you call the dietary department so they know exactly what you mean. And while your patient is in the hospital, they're going to have a healthy diet all the way through. And then meet with them and ask them not just about how they're feeling physically, but how are the foods? Are you finding things that you could eat at home? Talk with them about books or movies that they could watch. When they come out of the hospital, their life will have changed because not only will you hopefully have cured them or really improved their condition from whatever brought them in, but you'll have given them the beginnings of taste for healthy foods and tools that they can use. If their visitors or family come, engage them as well with the patient's permission, because very often they are the people who control what the patient eats at home. They are also at risk for the same kinds of problems, and the same diet changes will help them too. We've explored why whole food plant-based diets have achieved a high level of acceptability among research participants. We've discussed how physicians, dietitians, and nutrition instructors can work together as a team. We've described how to conduct a nutrition support group. We've explained the two-step method for adopting a healthful diet and described how hospitalization can be used for nutrition teaching. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this